My dear friends, what happens when you love someone who doesn't know how to love you back? This love thing. You can love someone deeply and still feel completely alone in a relationship. Because love is not the problem. The problem is they don't know how to love you back. In Life Wisdoms today, I want you to join me as we break down one of the hardest truths in relationships. Love cannot compensate for lack of emotional skills. You can be patient, understanding, and even committed. But if your partner lacks empathy, self-awareness, and emotional maturity, the connection will slowly drain you and fade away. Let's talk about it. One of the most dangerous traps in relationships is falling in love with potentials. What does this mean? It simply means you fall in love with who they could be, not who they are, how they might change, what the relationship could become. That's a risk. But every day, you are not living in that future. You're living in the reality of who they are right now. And that's the gap. And that gap will exhaust you. Another major challenge of love is the lack of emotional intelligence. Emotional incompetence isn't always loud. Sometimes it's subtle. It's the inability to listen without becoming defensive. The inability to empathize without making it about themselves. The inability to meet you emotionally, even when you explain it clearly. And over time, you stop feeling misunderstood. You start feeling invisible. There is something lacking. Other times, we often feel it is our responsibility to teach other people how to love us. Big mistakes. Let's be reminded that you were not meant to teach someone how to care about you. Love is a feeling. But that happens more often in relationships. We are tempted to do just that, to teach people how to love us. You explain your feelings. You simplify your needs. You repeat yourself again and again. And instead of growing together, you become the teacher. That's not a relationship. That's emotional labor. Not healthy for your relationship to grow. At some point, you have to tell yourself the truth. Love cannot fix a lack of skills, especially emotional skills. You cannot build a future with someone who doesn't have the capacity to meet you there. Letting go doesn't mean you didn't love them. You could still love them very much. It means you finally loved yourself enough to stop suffering for someone who just doesn't know how to love you back. And when you walk away, you don't lose the relationship. You simply reclaim your energy, your peace. You reclaim your peace. You reclaim your clarity. And you begin to understand what a healthy connection actually feels like or should feel like. Not forced, not one-sided, not exhausting. So, my dear friends, let's conclude this reflection with this. You don't need someone who has potentials, but rather you need someone who has presence, who is there for you, because real love isn't something you have to teach or you have to wait for. It is something you experience. It's a feeling in you. It's a give and take. And this experience comes naturally. Find someone who truly loves you, who is ready to show you, and you will feel it, because a relationship cannot survive only on potentials. It requires presence from both sides. Don't make the mistake. If this message resonated with you, don't ignore it. Take a moment and reflect. Share your thoughts below. Like if this gave you clarity. Subscribe for more reflections on healing, truth, and becoming. And come back when you're ready to choose peace over confusion. Thank you for listening.